So they'll receive, it's a small out-of-pocket investment. I've got another sheet here that just kind of shows what that is. To be a part of the program, the application or the enrollment fees is $1,874, so $1,874 to be a part of the program for a single buyer. A dual buyer, so if you have a husband-wife scenario and they both want to be on the mortgage on the note, then it's $400 more, it's $2,274. And what that gets them is that $1,000 of that money is their earnest money deposit used for the purchase of their future home. There's then a home inspection fee also associated with that. That's also included in that. That we'll take care of the home inspection for them when they pick the house, because we want to know. And this sheet that I'm showing you right now actually goes through how the rent credit program works. So you can kind of see for yourself, I guess, the advantage of the program and how the rent credit stuff really makes up for the cost of it. And you'll see down here at the bottom, it's like, so they get into this, we take care of most of the closing costs for you as well, because there's obviously less closing costs when you're doing these types of cash transactions. You don't have all these other fees and FHA fees and all this other kind of stuff that's attached onto it. We don't have that. You don't have to really worry about that kind of stuff. So inside of the program, you get 50% monthly rent credit, maximum of 3% of the appraised purchase price of the home. We'll have that estimation already at the beginning. Part of their application process helps us understand what size home they're looking for, what kind of neighborhood they're looking for. So we know a lot of this in advance. And part of the questionnaires that we send them while they're part of the program is to find out a little bit more. Has your circumstances changed? Did you have another kid? You know, that kind of stuff. We want to know that so that when we align with what home they're going to be looking for, we'll have that information understood, as well as we'll know what kind of investors we're going to want to align them with. You know, we need to align them with somebody that's, you know, putting out $300,000 at a time, or they're looking for $150 at a time, or $130 at a time. It really depends on the investor. And so what we typically do is that once they get to a certain point, and while they're in the program, the first thing they get is they get involved into this Mind for Money program. And I'll give you a little background of the program. These are all the skills. We teach 12 skills in the Mind for Money program. And in these 12 skills, we go through pretty much the gambit of really financial intelligence. And we do it in a little bit different way than what most people do. Because our perspective is that it's 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. 80% is what you do in your head and how you deal with money, and 20% knowing how to do it. That makes sense? Question?
Yes, I have a question. Please don't be offended by it.
Please
I know
do.
where we're going on this. Okay, it sounds like a good idea. But as a realtor, what's it going to cost us to buy into that program to be a realtor with this?
Well, it's a $400 typically. For today, it's $150. To be a certified agent, it's $150 for the class. And then it's $75 to renew that each year. And then you're in the system. You got the marketing materials. You got all the access to the online tools. You've got the full system that's going to support your clients all the way through the process each and every year.
So what type of track record do you have to show that you actually fund buyers?
Well, since 2002, we can pull up the records for you if you'd like to see them. They've all been done privately. We did over 36 of them through the system since 2002. They were ones that we did personally. Right now, we've got investors that we're holding about, what were we at, 49 million. And so it's across 8 investors right now. And so what we do is we give these the opportunity. So as they're in the system, right now we've got 24, I think, that are in the system. And as they move and progress, there are different stages. As soon as they hit certain benchmarks that are in the Mind for Money program, then they are then introduced to the investors, and then the investors are able to kind of bid on them. Basically, I'll give them I'll give them $160,000 at 6%. You know, here's what I'll do for them. And then they're able to pick between the investor opportunities that are being offered to them and what they can do.
You only lend money to 36 people?
Right. And they've owned the homes. We even have a guy that's actually coming back wanting to buy with the program again, which is kind of funny. His name's Lance Tracy, and we hope that he's going to, I've talked to him last week and stuff, and he's willing to give another testimonial as he's jumping into the program again. See, he actually made, because we did the program obviously before the boom time and stuff, so on the deal he got, because he got into the house earlier, he was able to buy the house, and then he sold it for like $128,000 more than he bought it for. And we're kind of in a similar market condition right now. 2 years from now, I would anticipate a significant rise in values, especially in current market here in Arizona. Because there's some good things on the horizon for Arizona. This is a brand new program rolling out. And so we're hoping that you're going to be some of the best statistics we have. Because we're here, we're now, we're going to create it now. The worst that could happen for your clients in going through the program is their income improves. Worst that could happen. Because that's what the HomeQuest program, Mine for Money, 30% increase in income is the average. We've been doing the Mine for Money program. It started off actually going through a clergy, some religious organizations asked us to come in and do some programs, and so we started doing the program in there. And at first they were wanting us to help people with credit repair. And that was something we thought was needed too. We were like, oh, credit repair, we can help people with credit. But then we started realizing that income improves credit better than credit repair ever could. So we said, well, why are we helping people just trying to finagle the credit bureaus? Why don't we start actually helping them improve their income? Change the way they view how they negotiate with their bosses to increase their income. And it changes rapidly. And so we started doing the research on generational effects on money. So the Mine for Money program is based on research of 2 different family groups. So why would we have a tenant or a client actually pay for a program like this? Why?
Not a tenant, I'm talking about the realtor.
Oh, the realtor?
Yeah.
Well, because here's something I've learned from my business experience. I'm a business coach, that's what I do. And what I've learned, and I've done this studies on pricing for years. I mean, Kevin knows a lot about my studies on prices. You weren't with me when I took the group out to the soccer fields or anything to experience price. So something happens when people pay for things. Something happens. They use the thing they buy. They align themselves. It aligns their intellect to support themselves with it. You know, you give a man a Porsche for nothing. What does he do with it?
Wreck it.
Wrecks it. Runs it into the ground. Doesn't take care of it at all. Terrible. Why? Because we want the continuity of the program to really respect real estate agents more. We don't want every real estate agent. We want them to pay a fee. Why? Because we want real estate agents that believe in themselves enough to step into a program and do something with it. I am not going to be a part of those groups that's going to have a program and have 2% success rate. Absolutely not. Because that's the race. Free stuff. I did free radio for a while. Free radio. It's like we could have amazing information on free radio. You know, connect with thousands and tens of thousands of people every day that we were on the radio. At Unlocking Your Potential on 96.9. And what did I find? The actual results of all the people listening? Hardly any change. No investment. Because what would happen? We'd give them amazing information that could change your life like that. Then they'd watch Dr. Phil the next day and go, oh, well, there's another idea. Well, that didn't work either. And then they discount it. And then they start blaming the world for all their problems because they're not owning their own result. So why are we having paid? So that they own their own result. Step into the opportunity. And respect all the other real estate agents, just as we do. They pay because we respect them. And we respect that they can make something out of it. Free education stinks. Ask anybody who has a full ride scholarship or their parents paid for college. What did they get out of college? I don't know, it was great drinking time, I'll tell you that. I went to ASU, party school. Never made sense. I paid for my own education. I've done more with it than anybody out that I know of. Because every class, I'd be in just a sociology class going, I got to get info out of this. I'm paying for this. It cost me $1,700 today. It aligns the mind, it aligns the resources so people do something with it. We sold a bottle of water for $1,000. So what do you think that bottle of water meant to somebody when we sold it for $1,000? Why would they pay $1,000?
Stay alive.
If you lived in Japan, nuclear.
So I'll tell you a little bit of story, the background, so on price tag, just because this is part of the other thing for, it's not only for your clients, why we have them pay, why we have them pay the price we're having them pay, it's because it's results oriented. The higher the price they pay, it's kind of a, when they get to a certain price point, they're aligning their life to support themselves through the program. If we had it lower, they don't support themselves in the program. They're not aware, they're not aligned. I mean, there's one person that was about to get into the program, and they're like, oh yeah, fees no problem, da-da-da. And I was like, well, you know about the course stuff? Well, I ain't going to no course. I was like, well, what price would we need to charge you so that you really get the value of the course? Well, what do you mean? I was like, well, what price would I need to charge you that you would show up to every day to the course and you'd really make something happen with it? Oh, it had to be about 20 grand. I was like, well, maybe your fee is 20 grand so that you really get something out of this. I wouldn't want you to pay our $1,800 and then get nothing out of it. That's a waste of your time and mine. You're just trying to take advantage of a system, and I'm not going to be a part of that. That's another reason why our investors like our system and why we attract more socially responsible investors. Because they're focusing on people willing to help themselves, willing to pull up their own bootstraps and move something. Not going to blame the economy, not waiting for a handout, not coming around from a place of I deserve it. They're going to do something with it. So on pricing, we did a little experiment, went out to a soccer field with a cooler full of water, and in order for me to continue with all these people who paid $6,500 to work with me on their business, I says, I'm not going to work with you anymore today until this water cooler is empty and you've sold all the water bottles. Now here's the catch. Every 3 water bottles, the price doubles. You start at 50 cents. Now one guy got on real quick. He picks up 3 water bottles and starts selling. And he's like, okay, and he was selling really, really quick. Actually, the 50 cents, everybody was really skeptical. It's like, it's 50 cents a water bottle, and they're like, what's wrong with it? Because at the concession stand, just over along the way, they were selling for $3. So they're asking, what's wrong with it? See, price too low, what's wrong with it? Skeptics. So maybe my price is too low.
No, I'm a big skeptic.
Okay, you're a skeptic anyway? Okay. Fair enough. So prices at $3, so they're asking, what's wrong with it? Then they started finding, well, they couldn't sell it until because no one was carrying around 50 cents change, so they had to sell 2 for $1. They had to sell them 4 to get to the next price point. And so it just keeps going. So they keep doubling. We start getting to $10, and now people are going, they're wondering weird things. They're going, okay, so we went from 1 to 2, and I just started jumping in. If it was going too slow, I just say, okay, now it's $10. And I walk away, because $10 I knew was going to be easier than any odd number that we were going to end up with just doubling. So we just kept doing this way, 10 to 20 to 40. Now what happens when the price starts getting higher? People start asking different questions. They don't actually say no. And that was the craziest thing. That they all got to experience the fact that as price increases, people don't say no, they just ask more questions. Well, what's in the water? Well, what's this going for? So I told them about that price point when the question showed up. I said, well, we're donating all the proceeds to the concession stand and GYSF. Oh! So now we started getting people just giving us $10 for no water. They were just giving us $10. And some of them, they'd say, well, I want to buy 12 of them and give them to our team. What would that cost? Well, you have to make a donation in this amount.